This programme is brought to you by ultimatepool.tv.
We're back with a summer scorcher in the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup as last year's beaten finalists return in an attempt to go one better this time around. Declan, Brennan and Ronan McCarthy are back and once again are in the conversation to be event favourites. Two outstanding players in their own right who have already proven they've got fantastic chemistry. They were genuinely outstanding in last year's competition and it's fuelled a fire to lift the trophy this time around. Two Bristolians look like their biggest challenges, at least on paper, as Gamlin and Singh enter the fray. Greg is a Scottish Open champion as of this year, while Avi is a former top 5 ranked player, more than a puncher's chance this evening. Elsewhere, Nuneaton's Anthony Tedson has brought in Townsend along with him for backup, and the two have plenty of pedigree on the Leicester Tour in particular. While our final pair sees Rotherham pairing Duncan Saxton and Wootton team up, Wayne in particular has had a very decent season on the Challenger Series this year, and they'll back themselves in this format. A brilliant night in prospect once again. Welcome back to the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup.
Our first match sees Tedson Townsend taking on Saxton and Wootton, and it was Saxton and Wootton that made the best start, winning a scrappy opening frame, and we joined Duncan Saxton at the table in frame 2.
He's gone long. Had to play that a little bit firmer to get that cue ball past the 8 ball on the one to the bottom left. Tough ball, tough shot. Now Reese's opportunity to win this second frame. They are all there for him. Slightly overran that one. Wanted to be nearer the break line, just to drop the one in the left centre and stay on the one at the top of the table with an angle then to come down. And whilst he can play on the one at the top of the table, he's going to have an angle where he's got to avoid the red. Such a subtle difference. Cue ball 2 inches lower. It's so simple. So often the way in pool. And leaving the yellow at the top of the table now becomes a problem ball. You may well leave it last ball now. Problem with that is the 8 ball doesn't go. I don't think it goes to either bottom corner. If it goes, oh, it does go bottom left. He's fine. It won't be too bad if he can land on that one at the top. Then he has an area to play for. Key shot, get the angle you need. Doesn't want to be straight. I think he's come half a roll too far here. He does have an angle, but he'd have to really force it. If he comes up one more rev shorter, then he can just stun up the left-hand side of the table. Oh, he's still just about got there. Nice shot. But once again, could have done with a little bit more on the cue ball. Natural angles taking him very close to the red. The harder he plays this, the wider it throws. So the more into the red he's going to go, and the worse position he'll get.
Yeah, he's not out of the woods just yet. Just like that. And we call it absolutely spot on side. The harder he plays it, the wider it'll throw. And he's not even come close to missing there. He's actually hit it full in the face. And I mean, this is a tester.
Yeah, and it's one of those that if you manage to catch the red half ball on the right hand side, you actually land nicely on the 8 ball anyway. So tough one, that.
Oh, he's cued that really well. Cue ball is fine.
Well, a great 8 ball there from Townsend to tie the scores up at 1-1. Let's move on to frame 3 and join Wayne Wootton at the table.
To get from the bottom red to the one at the top of the table. Need to avoid it. Normally you'd like to play this one, the direct line would be into the yellow, but now to avoid that, you've almost risked not getting on the one at the top. which way are you going to go? Oh, in the end, he's played for it into the top left-hand corner pocket, and well, just got it all wrong.
Yeah, I think that line was there, but we'll never know.
Interesting one there, because if that's the way he's going to play it, then he was on that one he just missed the previous shot, and he could have played a thin clip, played into the yellow, held himself on the one into the right centre, and used that to connect to the one to the top left-hand corner pocket. But then, easy enough to say in the commentary box, out there at 15 seconds a shot when you're not used to it, or even when you are used to it. Very, very tough.
Oh, it's a massive visit to the table for Anthony Tedds.
Just overrun that positional shot. Wanted to be short of straight, then could have dropped it in and even used the red if he wanted to. Now he's going close to into the yellow. Was able just to drift by it, take it to the opposite corner. Nicely worked out. So easy to overdo this one and miss it on the thin side. I cued it well.
Tell you what, that'll be a confidence booster. That will be such a boost for him. Great visits to the table from Anthony Tedson. And goodness me, did he need it.
A nice smooth clearance there from Anthony Tedson to get his partnership a 2-1 advantage. And that advantage would be enough as the clock ran down in the next frame. So Tedson and Townsend get the victory in the opening match. Let's move on to match number 2, where we see our favourites in action. Declan Brennan and Ronan McCarthy, the two ultimate pool professionals in the group, are up against Gamlin and Avi Singh. And it was the pair from Bristol, Gamlin and Singh, that made the brightest start, pouncing on a mistake from Ronan McCarthy to take the opening Scotch frame. We're going to join the match in the second frame with Declan Brennan at the table.
Yeah, and he's not been playing the game as long as others. You know, he's been dedicated himself to this game for the last few years, but certainly not as long as others.
Oh, wow.
Big surprise, though. What you don't normally see from Declan is miss pots like that. Normally such a clean potter of the ball. Okay, hampered queuing. Still a surprise.
A real surprise.
Tough counter clearance here on yellows, though.
Interesting to see Greg just getting up as well, just to have a little look around. We saw that a little bit last week, in particular with Jimmy Croxton and Liam White, where they were basically assistant managing each other's clearances, which we thought we'd see less of from two pro players, but it really worked well for them.
Yeah, and I asked Liam about that in the week as well. He was on the same show with Shane, and he said it's not something they talked about doing beforehand. It just came naturally. They just sort of, it almost felt right. Now, interesting decision here for Avi. He's clearing up these ones at the bottom, but it's not these ones at the bottom that are the problem. You'd almost want to be doing these ones last. It's the one on the left-hand side and the one on the right-hand side at the top that are real problem balls. And at the moment, I'm struggling to see how he's going to clear them. Use the one in the middle at the top to maybe kick out the one on the right-hand side. Left an angle to do that now. But you need to now kick it out and land on it. This is why you don't clear up the ones at the bottom before you play this shot. He'll take that, though.
Oh, won't he just?
He's on it, and he's got a chance to at least give himself a shot. He won't be able to get right behind this last ball, but he can at least give himself a shot down the cushion. It's going to be a massive shot, and how you get on the 8-ball from it, I don't know. Oh, he's really forced that one across. But even now, it's still very difficult to get on the 8-ball. Straight, maybe you can hold the cue ball, but I think he's got a little bit too much angle to hold on the 8-ball to the bottom right. Does it go bottom left? Well, he's played that, no. So he's given himself just a shot.
Tell you what, it's a good clearance if he makes this.
Well, it's one of the better clearances we've seen in the tournament so far if this 8-ball goes in.
All right then, Avi, what have you got for us? Not quite. Not quite.
Big disappointment there from Avi Singh. Missed 8-ball, and that would cost him the frame as well, because Declan Brennan did the rest and cleared up. Let's move on to frame 3. Now the score is 1-1, and we're going to join Greg Gamlin at the table.
Huge visit to the table here for Greg.
I mean, this could really set the tone.
Absolutely, and these are there for him as well. Doesn't need to do too much. Everything goes, even the 8 ball at the bottom, that goes past the red. If you can get good position on one of those 3 balls in the bottom half of the table, you should be pretty plain sailing from there. Looks like he's going to try and get there in 2 shots time. He certainly is. This is the key. He's played it with check side. Oh, he's played it beautifully. What a lovely shot.
Yeah, look at that.
Not sure he'd pick it up with his hand and put it better than that.
Yeah, absolutely perfect cue ball position.
Just a roll short of perfect. If he's straight, it's really simple because he just stun it in and hold the white, got a perfect angle. Now he has to screw across the face of it, and you need a good angle just to be straight enough on it to get on the 8 ball easy enough. I think he's okay. I think he's straight enough here. Well, he's looking at short position on the 8 to take the 8 into the same pocket, so maybe he has got to roll too much angle. He could force it on and off the cushion. Oh, it looks like he's straight enough just to roll through.
That's what I thought, but he doesn't like it, does he?
Yeah, this is now a tough 8 ball. Looked like he could just pick the straight side of the pocket and top through and have a fairly comfortable 8 ball. Maybe, I mean,
Was the 8 ball past the red, maybe? Maybe that was his issue.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it passes comfortably. Or maybe not, looking at that angle. Yeah, that 8 ball maybe didn't go. Deceptive main camera.
Yeah, that was a much tougher shot than, or a much tougher finish rather than I think we initially thought. We say all the time, it's not always the easiest job we have calling shots in the commentary box, because sometimes you just can't be 100% sure. I mean, we both thought that went bottom left, and in that case, that finish was 10 times easier.
Oh, what a shot from Ronan.
Whew.
When he got down on that, I thought, oh, that must go in the centre pocket comfortably enough, but you could see the angle he had, it didn't. Great pot, and that's going to win the frame.
I mean, that's where we talk about bottle. That's frame ball. You miss that, and it's a very missable shot. The frame's absolutely done.
What odds on Declan telling him that's the same pot that you missed in the 6 red shootout in the final?
I might tell him after. Ronan McCarthy gets over the line in the end.
Similar story to frame 2 then. This time Greg Gamlin missing the 8 ball. Excellent pot from Ronan McCarthy, and it's 2-1 to the favourites. And 2-1 would become 3-1 as they won the next frame as well. And with the clock running down, that was the end of the match. So victory for Declan Brennan and Ronan McCarthy, and disappointment there for Greg Gamlin and Avi Singh, especially considering they won the opening frame and they missed 2 8 balls in the next 2 frames as well. They'll feel like they should have got more out of that match than they did. But not long for them to wait to get back on. They're straight back in the next match. This time they're up against Saxton and Wootton, and we're going to join them at the table in the opening frame.
By the old pool gods. That's not a bad result at all.
Yeah,
I admire the vision, to be fair. It's a really, really attacking shot.
Yeah, I thought they might pot the one to the very top of the table and use that one to then pot it in the middle and come down, but he's seen it the other way around and gone straight after it. Tough pot, but aggressive play. Absolutely was trying to... Oh, hang on.
Well. I mean, would you believe it?
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. What a mistake.
Oh, back of the mistakes made in the previous match. Big disappointment for Gamlin and Singh. Let's move on to frame number 2. We're going to join Duncan Saxton at the table.
If the yellow by the hand doesn't go bottom left-hand corner, you can play on it in the centre pocket. It must go in the corner. Another roll up the table would have been nice. Too thin now to screw into the red, I think, which means he's got to avoid it.
Oh, it made it missable. It made it missable, and I mean, the cue ball was nowhere either there.
I'm really surprised at that if it was that tight, he had such a lovely angle just to stun across the bottom of the table and take that ball into the right centre pocket. The 8 ball goes in that corner comfortably enough and would have been easy to play on it. So I'm a little bit surprised he's played for it in the corner.
Oh. Oh, Avi. He's got away with it a little bit because Duncan can't see this clean. He's got to go cushion first, but you'd expect him to make this. And he's got away with it. It's always tough when you snooker, but Duncan should be making this.
Yeah, I think it's just the natural wasn't quite there, going by that replay. Well, massive moments here for Avi. You fear the worst if he doesn't make the finish now.
Almost feel it in the way that he's playing. He's almost trying to rev himself up. Punches in 3, trying to almost force his cue arm to get going, force a bit of momentum. It's not always a terrible tactic. We see it quite a bit.
That felt like a very big frame to win there for Avi Singh, and a very big clearance to make as well to get his partnership all square in this second match. And it was more of the same in the next frame as well. A lovely reverse clearance from Greg Gamlin to put his side in front 2 frames to 1. And we're going to join him at the table in frame 4.
It's a little bit short.
Yeah, not a nice angle. Yeah, you're on the cut. You're on the double. Both don't get you good position on the 8 ball.
It felt like a big visit to the table. And so it might prove to be for both pairs.
Yeah, 7 minutes left on the clock. There's going to be enough time for another frame. Saxton and Wootton will hope it will be a sort of deciding frame, even though it wouldn't be a deciding frame. They know at this point they should win this frame, but it's never as guaranteed as that, although that's a lovely shot.
I think this is the first time I've really seen Wayne Wootton really touch the table in this match. Into the 4th frame. Didn't get a go in his singles frame against Greg Gamlin. And, well, the first frame of the night on the Scotch, they didn't really have to do a lot because Greg and Avi potted the 8 ball.
Yeah, it's a fair point, actually. Or is he just quit on this? He needed to be almost straight on it. This is really awkward now. It's not just the pot, he's playing on the next positional shot. Yeah, and misses the pot because he played that with huge amounts of side, trying to get the cue ball into the 8 ball, quarter ball and open things up. If he comes back to almost straight, even if he gets 3 quarter ball on that, he can use the bottom cushion. He had margin of error and just completely quit on the shot to the top right-hand corner pocket.
Oh.
Didn't take the shot to the middle because they couldn't play on the 8 ball. And there's a clever shot there. That was a sort of half-hearted attempt to try and pot it. It was more a case of float it over the corner pocket. No, you're leaving nothing on. And that's not great.
That's a strange choice of shot for me.
Yeah.
Surely if you're going to play that ball, do you want to try and roll up to it and try and snooker them?
I thought just clip it thin and leave the cue ball near the right centre pocket. You've got a big target in the middle of the table to block off the red then.
Either way, it's not worked out. Avi Singh rolls in a simple 8 ball and it's 3-1 to the Bristol boys.
And that puts Gamlin and Singh in control of this match at 3-1 in front, and they would win the match in the next day. They won a scrappy 5th frame to win the match 4 frames to 1 and keep themselves in with a chance of qualifying on the night. That loss from Wootton and Saxton means they are now out. They will play their last match, but they can no longer progress in the competition. Let's move on to the key fourth match of the night, the match where we see the two winners of the opening round of fixtures playing against each other. It's Brennan and McCarthy up against Tedson Townsend, and we're going to join it right at the start of the match.
Who will kick off against Declan, Brennan and Ronan McCarthy. Winner takes control of the night. It's all in their own hands. Very nearly a golden duck for Reece Townsend there, who cued straight into the top corner pocket with the cue ball, and the 8 ball was flirting. Pulled the left corner pocket for a chat, but in the end didn't end up down. So it will be Ronan McCarthy and Declan Brennan to get us going in frame number 1 of match number 4.
Yeah, just for a second, they stopped in their tracks watching that 8 ball. Good chance here on yellows. Obvious problem, bottom left-hand corner pocket. I don't think there's enough yellow showing to actually pot the yellow below the 8 ball, so a little developing shot required.
Oh, great shot.
And it just shows you the top players, they attack their hardest balls 9 times out of 10 as early as they possibly can. A lot of players there would have dropped that one in, left the one to the top right-hand corner and then gone down the table and basically gone, I've got one opportunity to develop them. They've left it and they've done it straight away. First opportunity, they didn't have an angle to do it first shot, second shot, bang. And now they're all there.
We said it earlier on in the night. That's the difference.
It
That's
is.
the level. I mean, there was a frame in the last match which we watched. Avi Singh, you were watching the pattern and you know, talking it through, and you said, I can't believe he's gone this way around when the option was there to do it early. And that's sometimes the difference. It's not necessarily the ability to pot a ball or control the cue ball. Sometimes it's the mentality and the pattern, that's the biggest thing that separates the good from the great.
And that frame you're talking about, okay, ultimately Avi actually did some good stuff at the back end and got on the 8 ball, misses the 8 ball, and it almost looks like a great finish. But if he takes out the hard balls early, then he probably gets better on the 8 ball and he never misses it. So it's the difference between making clearances look easy, like these two guys have right now, and actually having to work the whole way through.
Well, what a great start there from the favourites for the night. A lovely finish in the opening frame to go 1-0 up. Let's move straight on to the second frame and join Reece Townsend at the table.
He's not afraid to take on a really hellishly tough first pot because he knows he's got to do it now because that's the correct shot to play.
Yeah, that was just a tough one though, wasn't it? Really tough hamper queuing from there. Oh, that's a lovely little shot there from Reece.
Yeah, really like that.
Yeah. Opens everything up in one shot.
You can see actually from the body language of the boys in the top right, they watch that go in and go, yeah, good shot, all right, settle in for the next frame. They're almost expecting this to be done now.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a little bit of legwork needed doing with the reds at the top of the table. In one fell swoop, Reece Townsend has put himself in a great position to win the frame, but he just had to stop that cue ball.
Yeah, that's a loose one.
That's the table catching him out there, but he should know.
That is a really loose one. It really is. He's going to have to take the one down the table now. Can't see the one to the right centre pocket. Much tougher shot. I still fancy him to make this one. Natural angle should get him good position on the next ball, so it's not the end of the world here for him.
Potted it thick, which is why that cue ball's not quite come up as far as it might have done if he'd have potted it in the heart of the pocket. And he's chasing.
Yeah, another 6 to 12 inches of pace on that one, and he's home free in this frame. Now he's working hard. He's going to have to hit this shot very well.
Yeah, this is one where you really do have to cue it in well. Otherwise, it's going to be nowhere.
Yeah, in the end, didn't get the cue ball, didn't get the pot. Got that one all wrong.
And that miss will cost them the frame as well, because Ronan McCarthy made a very smooth counter clearance to put his partnership 2-0 ahead. Let's move on to frame 3. Anthony Ted's at the table this time.
But you can see the excitement.
Yeah, there's time left in this match for them. Remember, a draw isn't the end of the world. A draw gives them a really good opportunity of a potential 6-red shootout, if not better. A loss puts them in a world of trouble. Oh, that's not great. That is not great. Just gone far enough to be comfortable. Yellow to the top right. He has an angle to stay on one of the other 2 yellows to the bottom right.
Oh, well. I think there was an element of Anthony getting so excited there. He's just rather rushed that finish. Didn't need to.
Beautiful shot.
Sure. And when you've got a player as cerebral as Declan Brennan, he's not going to waste his opportunity. I said it before, they might give you 1 chance, they're never going to give you 2.
Just caught the knuckle, I think, and come a little bit further down the table.
Easy does it for Declan Brennan, 3-0, and they're all but 2 from 2.
3-0 ahead now for Brennan and McCarthy, and that would be enough because the clock ran down in the next frame, which means they complete victory 3 frames to 0. And when we take a look at the table, you can see Brennan and McCarthy in complete control of the night. They are 2 wins from 2, 4 points. All they need from their final match is a draw or a win, and they are guaranteed to go through. But they could go through without playing again because Tedson, Townsend, Gamlin and Singh, with 1 win and a loss each need to win their final match to get to 4 points and put some pressure on the Northern Irish pair. Saxton and Wootton are effectively out, 2 losses from 2, but they could have a say because they take on Brennan and McCarthy in that final match. A lot will depend on what happens with Tedson, Townsend, Gamlin and Singh, which is our next match. And we could join it in the opening frame. Both pairs need to win the match, and we join it with Gamlin at the table.
We've got 2 options. Shouldn't have even had 1.
I think the safety might be coming out. Oh, it's the double, but I'm not sure that one was on. And it was the one above it I was looking at, potential double or clip.
So a quick conference call for Team Tedson Townsend.
Assuming the red by the yellow in the bottom half of the table goes, this is very comfortable. Although that's not the best positional shot.
A dead good pot from Anthony Teds. Who's left Reese Townsend with a tricky positional shot. Bit of a dead positional shot, actually, as opposed to dead good.
Yeah, that's put him in a little bit of trouble. Big shot coming up.
Big shot here, or the dead in the water. Oh, shots!
Oh, beautiful.
He's cued that one brilliantly. All on that, you know, and at the end of the night, might look back on that moment. Cue ball is not going to reach. All good.
A very nice finish there from Teds and Townsend to get their partnership 1-0 in front. But a lovely response from Greg Gamlin in the next frame with a lovely clearance to make it 1-1. We're going to move into frame 3 with Reese Townsend at the table.
Is he going to try and pop the red? Oh, it was risky. He's played that with a little bit too much force. He's left the double here.
That's a weird choice of shot. If you're going to play that, then you just
rest the cue ball behind the yellows.
Yeah. very...
Oh, he's got away with it.
Do you know what I think happened there? I think that's a little bit of a rules error from Rees. I think he's got himself a little bit confused. I thought he thought he was playing the next shot after the loss of turn shot because he had cue ball in hand, and maybe he was thinking more in terms of black ball rules where you would get the next shot, but you wouldn't get cue ball in hand anywhere on the table. So a very strange choice of shot from Rees, but it's worked out because the double has been missed.
Because surely there, you don't need to play anywhere near as hard. Just take the ref off the table, rest him behind the yellows, guaranteed easy snooker, win the frame.
Yeah, just roll it in. Roll it in. You've got a wall of balls. No problems at all. It was a weird way of playing the loss of turn shot, and I do think it comes down to a slight loss of focus on the rules themselves.
Which can happen. We've seen it at the very, very top level.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I would say is that Rees is playing on the Challenger Series, so if it was, it's he's been playing these rules long enough to know. Slightly strange one. Anyway, it's worked out for him, and here's his opportunity to go 2-1 in front as the clock ticks down and be the potential pairing in that 6-red shootout if he gets that far.
Oh, well then. Well then. I mean...
So look at, you can see them queuing up here. He's queuing it with quite a lot of right-hand side to straighten the cue ball off the cushion.
That's such a big miss, though.
Big error there from Rees Townsend. He knows he should have made that clearance to give his side an advantage of 2 frames to 1, but that miss has cost them, and they are 2-1 behind because of it. A good response in the next Scotch frame, though. They did make the nice clearance to go 2-2. There's 1 minute left on the clock, and we join Rees Townsend at the table once again.
Here we go, 1 minute, there's time. Can he make up for that big error 2 frames ago? They're all there. That's perfect. You wouldn't put it with your hand better.
There's a little bit of action out there in the crowd as well. Loads of time, they're telling him.
Not that much time. I mean, there is, but...
Right, looked like a tricky split, but a couple of good shots early on have given Rees Townsend the chance.
Got to wait for this cue ball here. He's taken too long on those previous 2 shots.
Can he find the pot? Just has to play it. Double is wide.
Match complete, 2 frames all.
And it ends a draw. And Declan Brennan and Ronan McCarthy will qualify.
Big error there once again from Rees Townsend. Looked like he was going to snatch victory for his partnership, but that positional error has cost him, and it means the match finishes as a draw. The result means that Brennan and McCarthy go through with a match to spare. They are comfortably through to the second stage of the competition once again. They've got 1 match left. It's against Saxton and Wootton, and it was Saxton and Wootton that made the brightest start. They won the opening frame, and we're going to join Duncan Saxton at the table in frame number 2.
As he just pushed the boat out a little bit too far. It's a spicy pot to take up the rail.
Yeah, I don't think he was too worried about that going in. He was playing the cue ball to a safe area of the table. He looks like he has just left the pot on, though. Worse than that, he left the pot on with an angle to go into the bad ball. The yellow he's just cannon out does pass the red to the bottom corner.
Yeah, nicely played. I think he's okay here, is he?
That was a lovely little delicate shot. Well, if the yellow goes through the gap of the reds to the left centre, it's just perfect, but I'm not sure that it does.
This looks finicky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He spun it around.
Oh, that's so good.
Such a good shot.
That is so good. huge amount of side, so it hits the cushion and just spins far enough to get it down the table. That is, honestly, that's right up there with one of the best shots we've seen tonight, if not the best shot we've seen tonight. And he backs it up.
Yeah, what a shot, Decky.
Has he just left that really horrible... Yeah, he's left that really horrible in-off angle.
Well, there's a trio of shots to end a frame go. You'd be hard pushed to find a better one than that for a little while in the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup. That is some seriously high-quality play.
Well, Declan Brennan showing his class there. That really was a pretty special little finish he's just made there to tie the scores up at 1 frame all. The next 2 frames were shared with some very good pull from both pairs. And let's move into frame 5. Duncan Saxton with the break.
He's been deliberately going for that sort of hard stun shot all the way through on his break, and it's not always come out for him. Whenever he's thrown a little bit more at it, he's lost the cue ball. And even though this table does favour a more controlled break rather than throwing the kitchen sink at it, I think you're asking a lot from that hit to make a ball or two.
One of the things that, I mean, we see a lot of players go for that more controlled break, maybe not quite as controlled as that, but I've often asked some of the players that go for the big power break, you know, when the power break's not working for them, have they ever thought about slowing it down? Then the sort of softer break is great when you make a ball initially, when you first hit them and they ping open and one goes in, but you don't get that secondary ball. You don't get the big explosion where they're flying around the table, and almost if they don't go immediately, you don't get any second opportunities for them to the drop in. So that's what you sort of lack with you don't get with that sort of break. Declan just not moving the cue ball here. Little nudge here, little nudge there. Nice to watch. This time he does move the cue ball and doesn't quite land.
Yeah, he's played better shots than that.
I think he's okay. I think he can just squeeze by the 8. Natural pot, natural position. Yeah, he was 1 roll away from disaster, but okay.
Yeah, absolutely perfect in the end. Lovely finish this from Declan Brennan. Really good. So to set the seal, Ronan McCarthy has his singles match. And he's got a ball, and he'll have a chance to go and win it for his pair.
We talk about Ronan's break so often. The thing that amazes me with Ronan is the fact that he wins major titles with a break that is, you know, compared to the other top players, you know, fairly weak. I'd love to know the statistics of Ronan on the amount of times he makes, once he makes a ball off the break, the amount of times he clears them. It's such a high percentage. We often keep the, you know, in some tournaments we'll keep a sort of percentage of break clearances and things like that, but in terms of actually making a ball to a clearance, I'd love to know that statistic.
We'll get the Ultimate Pool stats monkeys on it.
Absolutely, let's throw that one out there.
Nice angle left to break out his bad ball here. That'll do.
Lovely little shot, that one.
Gone about these really nicely. Making a 15-second shot clock look pretty routine. Oh, he's got away with one there, I think.
Yeah, but this next shot's awkward. This next shot is
horrible,
really...
but he nearly didn't have a shot.
Yeah. You can really dig into this one. Use the red.
Shot. That had a lot of potential to go wrong.
Might have to go long here. I don't know if he can clip this in and stop the cue ball going too far to the right-hand side, but he's playing with a lot of left to try and straighten it up. Yeah, he's done well. That was a very delicate little shot that he's played there.
Yeah, that was played with a lot of side. Lovely old job. Another really nice clearance. It's been a really good match to end it on, actually. High quality affair. Saxton and Wootton played their part, but the group win is going to go to Northern Ireland's Ronan McCarthy and Declan Brennan. Super performance from last year's finalists.
Declan Brennan and Ronan McCarthy showing their class there at the end. A lovely couple of finishes from the break. Complete victory in this match and make it 3 wins from 3 matches and comfortably through to the second stage of the competition once again. last year's runners-up are very much up and running for this year's competition. If you'd like to watch this whole night back, you can, ultimatepool.tv, where you can find this whole night and watch every single second and every single shot. Or if you're looking forward to the next week's action, week 4, you don't have to wait very long. Monday night, 6:30 on ultimatepool.tv, all free sports and many other stations around the world as well. And it's a cracking lineup. We can see Dom Cooney and Luke Gilbert, Team Blessed, and they've got Josh Kane and John McAllister up against them. The Fleming brothers from Scotland, Mark and Ryan, and Kevin George and Del Redmond complete what is probably the best lineup we have seen so far early in this year's competition. It's one week not to be missed. Tough to call a winner in this one, that is for sure. I'll be back next week for a roundup of the action, so make sure you can join us then. Thank you for your company tonight, and I'll see you soon.
This programme is brought to you by ultimatepool.tv.